Brianna, as the judge came in and she addressed the audience. It's a jam-packed courtroom, as it has been throughout this trial, especially during closing arguments and opening statements. And she told everyone in there, this is going to be emotional. People will feel some kind of way, regardless of what that verdict will be. And she wanted everyone to remember that they are in the court of law and that they need to respect the decision of the jury. And she said that anyone who wasn't able to do so should leave at that time. Then she welcomed in the jury, and at this moment we are waiting to hear the verdict being read. Now, this has been very emotional for everyone involved. Just moments before the jury was called back in, we saw Marcus Arbery, the father of Ahmaud Arbery, going into the courthouse. Also, famed civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who has been with the family since the beginning, since even before the state trial, is in the courtroom right now. He was asked his feelings, his thoughts heading in, and he just put his hands up that he was praying for justice, in his view, would be a guilty verdict for all three men. So this is a packed courthouse, as really people across the world are watching to see what happens in this particular case. And be honest, so many people have said, why are we having a federal hate crimes trial when all three men were convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery? And this state trial, they're already facing life in prison. But this is still so important in this country. And you ask Benjamin Crump, when you ask Wanda Cooper Jones, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, they tell you this is about sending a message that racism in this country will not be tolerated. And for many, many years, people have done racist acts, hate crimes, and have gotten away with it. They believe if they get a guilty verdict, it will send a message that will not be tolerated any longer, that people will be held accountable for their actions. So in their view, this trial was just as important as the state trial. And of course, we're still waiting for that verdict. We should get the answer, Brianna, any moment now.
Yeah, and when that comes in, we will come back to you. Stay with us, Nadia. I want to bring in Bernarda Villalona, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Bernarda, let me begin by asking you about the latest development we heard this morning, and that was the jurors asked the judge, which part of the verdict form do I need to read? If you're the defense attorney in this case, what, if anything, do you read into that specific question?
Well, one, that they definitely have a verdict, but two, that they're confident as to what their verdict is. It doesn't look good for the defense. It looks like this jury is definitely going to convict these three defendants. So this is a time that we've been waiting for. This is a nerve-wracking time, and we should know shortly what is the fate of these defendants.
Do you read anything into the fact that it took them a little over 3 hours in deliberation before they reached a verdict?
So by thinking that it's only been a little bit over 3 hours, they just got the case yesterday and they already have a verdict today. They started at 9 o'clock this morning. Is that the evidence was so overwhelming that it'll be very difficult for a jury of 12 to discounter the evidence, the strong evidence of guilt in this case. So to me, what I see is a guilty conviction. However, you just never know when you're dealing with jurors.
Defense attorneys have not denied their use of racist language and text in the past. Clearly, it would be difficult to deny it since we had the proof of it firsthand. That having been said, their argument had always been that these three men, notwithstanding that language, were just trying to protect their neighborhood. Do you think that that was a credible defense on their part?
Well, that's the defense that they were left with, because there was no way that they can run away from their own words that are through social media, that are through text messages, and what they said to other individuals that they felt comfortable talking to. So obviously that is the only defense they were left with. The question would be, can the jury decipher what their racist mentality was, and whether that racist mentality was what motivated them to chase, hunt, and execute Ahmaud Arbery?
What's interesting about this case is that these three defendants weren't in one united front, right? I mean, they had three separate defense attorneys, and the attorney representing William Bryant says that Bryant had not been motivated at all by race. In fact, he saw the McMichaels chasing after Arbery and assumed that they were chasing someone who just committed a crime. Do you think that that is a valid point and argument for his specific case?
For his specific case is the strongest argument that they could come up with. But remember that the prosecution during their closing argument was able to rebut that argument and say, if anything, in regards to William Roddy Bryan, the case is the strongest because he knew nothing about Ahmaud Arbery. All he saw was a black man being chased by
Bernarda,
two white males, and he joined in.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We are just hearing this, that the jury has found all three men who killed Ahmaud Arbery guilty on a federal hate crime charge. Want to get your reaction to that before we go out back to our reporter Nadia there on the scene.
Well, the jury has spoken, and this federal jury has determined that these three defendants, the McMichaels as well as the Bryant, are guilty of willfully interfering and intimidating Ahmaud Arbery and depriving him of his rights. Why? Because he's African American. Why? Because he is black. And the jury has finally spoken and called these three men what they are, and that is guilty, and that they were motivated by racial hate and anger and animosity.
Talk about the symbolism here in this verdict, because these men were already facing life behind bars, right? Nadia, what more can you bring us, and if you can delve deeper into the symbolism of this verdict here?
Yeah, Bianna, so I want to break this down for you. Had the interference of rights, right, which is one of the charges. All three men found guilty of that. And that's something that we saw in the video, how they used their vehicles to trap Ahmaud Arbery on that street. And he didn't have anywhere to go. As the prosecution lawyer said, if he would have went onto private property, he would have been on private property. That would have been a crime. So he had nowhere to go on that public street. They trapped him in. And Travis McMichael said to police, "We trapped him like a rat." That was repeated over and over again in the courtroom. We also saw this charge of a conviction, guilty on all counts for all three men on kidnapping. A lot of people have this image of kidnapping someone like Hollywood, where you throw a bag over their head and you take them off. It doesn't need to look like that in order to be kidnapping, and that's what the jury found. And then the last count was on having weapons being used during the act of a crime, a violent crime, and those were charges against the Travis McMichael and Gregory McMichael. Roddy Bryan did not have a gun, so he was not included on that count. But the jury saw this exactly the way the prosecution wanted them to see this, that these men were motivated and fixated on race. And they talked about how not only were they racist, but they seemed to fascinate themselves with the idea of revenge killing against black people, that they wanted to somehow find a way to kill a black person. And that was said through social media posts and through text messages, when all three of the men used racial slurs like the N-word to talk about black people as a whole, to make fun of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and to go on and on and on about their dislike, their hatred for black people. So when they saw Ahmaud Arbery, the prosecution and the jury agreed that they saw a criminal. They saw someone who did not deserve to be in their neighborhood, who shouldn't be there, and they felt that they had the right to stop him. And when he didn't stop, they felt they had the right to then kill him. And what was pointed out during this case by the prosecution were the moments after Ahmaud Arbery laid on the ground with bullet holes in his chest, bleeding out, his last gasp of air on this earth. And what did those three men do? Did they rush to him? Did they give him aid? No. The prosecution said that they would have treated a dog who got hit by a car better. They would have had more dignity for that dog than they did for Ahmaud Arbery as he lay on the ground, bleeding out, dying. This was an emotional trial, not just for the family of Ahmaud Arbery, but for the millions of people around the world who saw that video of Ahmaud running for his life and then thinking to himself, I've got to survive. So trying to take that shotgun that was pointed at him and trying to disarm the McMichaels from killing him, that's when he was shot and killed. We saw that viral video. This is when the case really took off, and so many people started weighing in on what should happen. Bianna, the jury saw this exactly the way the prosecution did, exactly the way that Ahmaud Arbery's family saw it, and we know that tomorrow is the 2-year mark of his death, the day that he was murdered, not far from here in Centilla Shores. Bianna?
A grim anniversary, of course. And I